I don't know if you can remember that video where this young South African girl went all the way to China from South Africa to look for a job.
A South African kindergarten teacher allegedly attacked in a Chinese school in Shanghai fears for her safety and those around her. Nolusindiso Hleko was forced to leave China following a viral video showing her how her employer allegedly physically assaulted her. In the video titled "My Worst Year Abroad," Hleko alleges the school's human resources manager punched her in the face, leaving her bruised.
Yes, she found a job as a teacher and she's been working there, being able to pay her bills, but the working conditions are really not good over there, you know. The Chinese people can sometimes be oppressive. I mean, some of the Chinese, it's not my words, it's out there on the internet. People can search, people can find. This young girl was tormented. This young girl was assaulted by one of the teachers in that kindergarten. It was a kindergarten. This young girl was teaching Chinese kids. She was passing her knowledge to Chinese kids, only to be mistreated by a Chinese teacher. This Chinese teacher thought that sister was nothing. She thought that sister was inferior. She thought that she would do anything to this young black girl, and he would go unpunished.
Police were not able to help her. She had to flee. She had to run away.
Hello, my name is Nolusindiso. I'm from South Africa. I'm currently based in Shanghai, China, and I work as a kindergarten teacher. On Wednesday, August 23rd, during a disagreement, the HR manager at my job, a guy, punched me on my face. After he punched me and I was screaming, trying to get out of his office, he pushed me down on the couch, telling me that I needed to sit down. I screamed and I was trying to get my phone so I can take pictures and videos of what was happening. Instead, he grabbed my phone and said he didn't have my phone anymore. I don't know how I got out of the office, but somehow I got out. And I was running in the passage of this kindergarten trying to get help. There were various women there. All of them just watched and did nothing. I managed to run to the stairs, but by the time I got to the stairs, he was already there, and he was preventing me from going past him. I was screaming, but he was pulling me, preventing me from leaving. I don't know what came to my head, but I thought about a different exit, and I ran towards the different exit, but he was chasing me. And during the time that he was chasing me, he was singing a song, humming a song, as though to distract me in case so that I can fall and he can catch me. I managed to get out of the building, and there was another lady outside the building shouting for the securities officers to close the gate so I wouldn't get out. But what happened is the security officer made a mistake. Instead of closing the gate, he opened the gate, and then I ran, managing to get out. By the time I got out, I had no shoes on, no socks on. They had taken my phone. I had no bag on. It was just me and nothing on my hands. I didn't know what to do, so I started walking on the streets, and I came across a young Chinese lady. Asked her if she speaks English, and she said yes. I asked her to call the cops. She called the cops arrived, and we went back to the kindergarten. When we arrived at the kindergarten, they had gathered everything that belonged to me in the table, telling me that the reason why they were preventing me from leaving is because they wanted me to calm down so they can call the cops to resolve the issue, despite the fact that I wasn't feeling safe, and that is why I wanted to run away. Then the guy who had punched me told the cops that he did not punch me, that I hit my eye on the couch. I asked them to release the CCTV footage of the building while I was running, and they said they don't have it. We went to the police station. At the police station, the vice principal who saw everything happen said that she didn't see anything, and that when this guy might have hit me, she was on the phone, so she didn't see anything. When I arrived there, the cops basically told me that my visa is expiring next week and I do not have proof that this guy has hit me, and therefore I needed to settle. Feeling like I didn't have a choice, I ended up settling for compensation. I'm making this video because there are so many of us out here who are suffering under the hands of our employers, who continue to disobey the law and treat us very poorly. And I'm also making this video because I feel very powerless in this situation. They told me that if I talk to anybody or go to the media about the situation, then they would sue me and I would have to go to jail or get deported. They also threatened to put me on some teachers' blacklist in China so that I would never get a job in China. They also refused to give me any documents that would allow me to work anywhere else in China during this moment. But I'm not okay with just keeping quiet and pretending like this is okay and there's nothing happened. And I hope if you're seeing this video, you pass it to as many people as possible so that people know that this happens to me.
She is back in South Africa.
Because she was in China, and China belongs to the Chinese, and she's African, so nothing can happen to a Chinese when they do something wrong to the African. You get the logic, right? Now the girl was able to share her story with the internet community. We as African people, we felt really bad when one of our own was mistreated, because when those Chinese come here in Africa, we worship them. Women want to have children with them. Women want to have kids who have those small, beautiful eyes with those nice hair. But at what expense? At what expense do you want to have these children if you can be oppressed by their fathers? Is it really worth it? You can have a child with your fellow African person. You can have a child with another race. I'm not against race. Don't get me wrong. But my question to you is this. At what expense are you willing to go in order to please somebody who does not accept you fully for who you are? That is my question for you. You see? So the sister was able to get back to the country, South Africa, and we are happy that she was able to come back to the country, because mostly when you go to those countries like China and you work for them, they withhold your passport, you know. Now you can't do nothing. It's like you're a slave to them, which is so bad. But the main question you might be asking yourself is, why do they go? Why do they go to China? Why do African people leave Africa going there? Well, no jobs in Africa.
So here are some of their stories. Sipho said to Mkokozo, who was 30 years old, worked as an English teacher in China and unfortunately died on Thursday. Her sister said that she received a call from the school she worked for, informing her that her sister had unfortunately died from a panic attack on her way to the hospital, you guys. Her sister stated that she last spoke to Sipho last Wednesday, and that on the following day, on Thursday, she received a call that she had unfortunately died. Her family now needs over 300,000 rands to repatriate her body and are asking for donations as they cannot afford it. Nolusindiso Hleko, who was only 27 years old from Mossel Bay, who moved to China to teach English back in 2019 after she graduated with a political science qualification from the Nelson Mandela University, suddenly fell ill in China, where she unfortunately died at a hospital in Beijing on the 12th of September 2022, you guys. Now, her family are also struggling in repatriating her body back to the country where her loved ones can give her a proper burial, you guys. Her family have set up a crowdfund page where people can donate and help bring her body back to the country because the government cannot help, you guys. Nomaxoxwa Blakey, who is 27 years old from Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape, went to China in 2017 to teach English, was found dead in a flat in Shanghai on the 18th of April this year. It is not known how she died. Now, her family also needs about 400,000 rands to bring her body back to the country as the government is unable to help, you guys. And of course, you guys, the list is endless, and I'm sure there's still a lot more who died abroad trying to make ends meet for themselves and their loved ones. And I just hope that these girls will get some sort of assistance from the government, you guys. And I also hope the government can create jobs for millions of South African graduates, as there are currently millions of unemployed graduates. May these beautiful souls rest in peace, you guys.
In Africa, and this is something I've always been telling African diaspora, African Americans, African Caribbeans, Africans in the South America, African Bretons, Africans in Asia, Africans in Australia, name it all. I've always been telling them, do not come to Africa looking for a job. Why is that? Africa, we don't have jobs. We really don't have jobs. So these young ladies are leaving their countries. Now let's talk about South Africa. They're leaving South Africa. They're going all the way to China. As an example now, they're going all the way to China, and they're working in a very poor working condition. Their health is not, those people don't take care of them. They are like extra luggage. They're still like luggage, not humans. They can get sick, but they are required to report to work. They miss work, it's gonna be problems. They're gonna be beaten, they're gonna be done this and that. They don't eat well. Some of our sisters have died in those countries. Some of our sisters have died in these countries of where our sisters go to seek help and refuge, financial assistance. To what extent will God allow people to oppress black people in order to feel that they are full humans, we are less humans?
Why would you try to get somebody to come down after they've been hit? I was screaming, I was shouting because I had been hit. But none of the people that were there did anything. Like literally everyone was like poking through their classroom looking, but none of them tried to stop them. None of them tried to defend me, and none of them tried to in any way collaborate my story. None of them.
Even when you speak about it now, I can hear the shiver in your voice, because you felt helpless in that moment. And it is, I'm so sorry, but to take you through that again, having to repeat this, but of course I know there's a reason why you're doing this, and you want people to know what happened to you, because you felt helpless in that moment in a foreign country with no one to help you. You did mention the embassy, the South African embassy.
Yes.
Did they finally come to your assistance?
The first number before calling any of my friends, the first number that I called was the consulate in Shanghai. Multiple times I called Beijing, multiple times that day. None of them answered. Nobody answered. I ended up calling one of my friends who is in Shanghai, also South African. He was the one who tried to help, and also the one who tried to get me in contact with a lawyer in Shanghai. None of the consulate helped. The following day, I still woke up because I was still feeling terrible, and I still wanted them to do something. I called the consulate in Shanghai multiple times again. I couldn't get hold of someone, and then I called Beijing. What they told me was so disappointing. When I called Beijing, they basically told me that it was not within their jurisdiction and that I needed to call Shanghai. And I would be thinking that they would try to help regardless, but they were like, it's not within their jurisdiction. I called Shanghai again. I was able to get someone who said she would give my number to someone responsible for South Africans in China. My mistake in this whole thing was not getting people's names. I never wrote anybody's name, but I went to a hospital that afternoon. And while I was in a hospital, I got a call from the consulate in Shanghai from a lady. I never took down her name, so I don't know who she was. And I told her I was in a hospital, and then she said she was going to call me back, and she never did. And honestly, after that, I kind of felt like they just didn't care. And I just never tried to call them again. It was only this Friday after I've posted this video that I had Pucci from Shanghai calling me, wanting to know why I never sought assistance from them, but I did. And I gave up at some point because it didn't feel like to me that they were going to do anything.
Yeah. And I know you're not in China at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Did Did the South African Department of International Relations come to your assistance as well? Did they help in some way to get you out of the country, or how did you leave?
So I was intending to leave China anyways the following week on the 31st. So I had a ticket booked already. So the South African government in any sort of way did not have anything to do with me leaving China. I left China on my own because my working environment had been toxic literally the entire year. So I felt like it was not a good idea for me to stay there anymore. So I left on the 31st of August, and they had nothing to do with me leaving China. Nothing to do with that, yeah.
Before the alleged assault, how did they treat you? How did your colleagues treat you, and how did the school treat you there?
So I had been in China for a year. I arrived in China in August last year. And honestly, I'd say for the most part, the job was okay. I mean, the job was toxic in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of us foreigners, there's about 11 foreigners there. We were really unhappy. And I told them in April this year that I was not going to renew my contract.
Africans are not less humans. In fact, those white, those yellow, those all kind of people. I don't know if we have purple people also. Everybody who puts people into colors, they came from Africa. We all came from Africa. We all came from Africa. Everybody came from Africa. Scientifically proven, not my own words. Now, we should treat each other with passion, with love, with care. And you, an African, I'm giving you a message. Do you want to go to a country where you are treated badly, but when the person comes to your country, you want to worship them? The cost-benefit analysis is not adding up. It's mind-blowing. It's not adding up. I'd rather stay in my country here than go outside there and suffer. Probably I might lose my life. It will not count. It will never count. It does not add up. Losing my life because I went to look for a job. I live with my life at 100%. I return with my life at 0%. Does not add up. African government should find jobs for African people so that such things needs to stop. Such things need to stop. And you Africans, stop worshipping people of lighter complexion than you. Africans don't like the blackness we have. Africans are even bleaching. They're even changing and doing all that because they don't like the black skin. We have been brainwashed. We have been brainwashed. I think it's time that we remove that bad mentality that has been placed on us, that black skin is not a good skin. We've been told that the white skin is the better skin, but no, no, and no. No skin is better than the other. No. We are dark because we had to adjust to the sunlight. We are very close to the equator. Africa gets a lot of heat. So in order to adapt, in order for us to survive, we need to have a black skin. So we evolved with this black skin. If there was evolution, and God made us black for a reason. God is not a God of biasness. He's not a God of he favors this, he favors none. The same God who loves the people of Israel, the same God who loves the people of USA, the same God who loves the people of Europe, Britain, Hungary, all those countries. It's the same God, the same way he loves those people is the same way he loves black people. So don't think of yourself as greater than black people. No, you're just cheating to yourself. This narrative has to stop. It has to stop. I'm just saddened by how our people are suffering out there. And when they come here, we worship them. We worship them. We want to have selfies with them. But when we go there, do they want to have selfies with us? Why do we force things? It doesn't have to be one way. It has to be a two-way. It has to be going this way. It has to be going this way. That is how it should be. That's all for today, and I hope you learn from this video. So without further ado, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, don't miss out, and see you in the next one.